Hey everyone, I'm Brian. You're watching the Build a Place channel. In this video, we're going to have to rebuild the steering cylinder on this man lift. I got the other cylinders, the telescope cylinder rebuilt, the leveling cylinders rebuilt. A couple years ago, I rebuilt the main boom cylinder. And before I got a chance much to even use the machine, I started getting a leak on the steering cylinder. So since I'm in the mode of rebuilding cylinders, I'm going to take the cylinder out. It looks like it's going to rain today, so I want to quickly get this cylinder out and get it in the shop so we can start taking it down and getting the parts on order to rebuild it. First thing I'm going to do is take these two covers off and see what I can get access to. Hopefully I can get access to the pins and the hydraulic lines. See if I can find something to break that free. Oh, didn't take much. Let's take a look down in there and see what I can do. Looking down in there, doesn't look, there's a whole lot that I can do from the top. Maybe disconnect those fittings, but I could get to those from the bottom anyway. So I'm not sure what this hole, I don't know if you can even see down in there. It's kind of dark in there, but looks like we do most of the work from the bottom. I got the cylinder is all out. It looks pretty nasty. So what I'm gonna do, I want to cap off these fittings, and I'm going to degrease this thing, get it nice and clean before I really start doing anything. I don't want all this dirt and everything to be here when I'm taking it all apart. So have it nice and clean, hopefully pretty clean before I start rebuilding it. Just found the first piece of hard plastic. Had to be in a medicine bottle to get it straight to heavy grease off this cylinder body. Just to get the bulk of it, then I'll come back and use some type of degreaser and degrease the rest of it. But okay, I got it secured in my vise. And this has a wire that retains it, the gland. It's not threaded on like a normal gland is. So I just have to spin that wire out. It's not one to come out. Let's bring it the other way just one time, see if I can get it to come back in. It's in all the way. I'm not sure why I didn't want to pop out. Something maybe I've never done one with a wire on it, so I may be doing something wrong. There it goes. Just need to be convinced a little bit more. Put your foot into it. That wire's coming out now. You see that wire? It's coming out. Put it on a different pinhole. Should be 180 degrees out. Put in pinhole again. Okay, it's out. This gland should come off now. Should come off. Let's get some little tool, get in there and pry that open a little bit. Use my old screwdriver. Probably gonna need something to pry a little bit longer than that. Something else in there to pry it. There it goes. My drip pan underneath there, because there's should be some oil coming out of that. If I can get it out a Well, come on the vise too. Let me get it back in the vise. Drip pan ready. Oh, gotta take those caps off. Forgot about that. I put the caps on to clean it. And then those are pulling vacuum. Getting fluid coming out of there right now. Need something to push that on out. Yeah, I thought this was going to be the easy one. It's not becoming the easy one like I thought it would be. Yeah, I thought I'd get that gland just to pop right off. It'll give me no troubles. Put a wooden block. I can't see what'll be holding that gland from coming off. Like I said, I've never done one with a wire on it, so maybe I'm doing something wrong. Put my block of wood back in there and see if, oh, there it goes. Just need a bigger hammer. I gotta catch whatever, try to catch as much of this fluid as I can. And this gland pops out. That's going right in the pan, perfect. Can't beat that. Now let's see if I can get this gland and everything out. And rod and piston. Yep. It's all good. There's not much to this. So now just get the piston off, get that nut from the piston off. Be ready to start measuring up and find out what I need to rebuild this cylinder. So that's it. Okay, I've changed out and put the rod into the vise now. I'm going to mark the end of the rod. I'll mark the nut first. I'm going to put a dimple on the nut first, and that should be good. And then I'll dimple the same location on the end of the rod. So I know when I torque this thing back, it'll be in the nut will be in the same location once I line up that prick mark on the nut to the rod. So let me get my brake bar out. Move this a little bit. That should be in a good position. Get my brake bar, see if I can break this thing free, how difficult it may break for. I got a 4-foot brake bar. It may break easy. Oh yeah, broke right easy. Probably didn't need the brake bar. That thing came off super easy. I can put a ratchet on here and probably in just a minute change over to a ratchet. Let me get a couple more pushes on this, and then I'll put a ratchet. Yeah, I'm gonna put a ratchet on it now. It should come off pretty easy. It's a little bit, but it's easier than pulling that brake bar off every time you make a 1/8 of a turn. So once I get this off, clean up, get everything cleaned up, and then start measuring to start, at least that's what I'm planning on doing right now, just to measure up what parts I need. And most likely I'll just buy individual parts. So that piston comes off easy. I've had problems with these pistons here too lately. I'm not sure why. They're wanting to be difficult. I get a block of wood. And it's getting easy now. I want it. Yeah, it's coming loose on the vise too. Let me get it back in the vise good and tight. It's working better by tapping it with a hammer. It's coming off slowly. That's like a thread off. Yeah, it threads off easier than tap off. That's just strange. It's almost like it's threaded on there. I know it's not threaded. Just got something going on inside there. See if the gland's going to give me the same issues. Nope, gland came right off, and seen something else fly. I guess this piece of the, that was part of the wiper. So the rod don't look bad. It's got a little like wear marks in it, but overall, you can see something going on there. Just where it's been ran back and forth. So the little wear marks, that's probably where it ends. So probably ride somewhere. That's probably where it ends a rod, and somewhere up in here. So first thing I want to get started on is start taking the gland, the seal, take the wiper out. I already measured the rod. It's an 1.5-inch rod, so I need an 1.5-inch wiper for the rod. This is kind of just falling apart. Just clean that out, so I don't need to worry about that. So I'll just put it on my list. It's a 1.5-inch rod wiper, so I'm there to get it. Not wipers, wiper. And then the lip seal is going to be 1.5-inch ID, but I'm not sure what the OD is going to be, so I'm going to try to, well, that thing's breaking apart pretty good. I wasn't sure how this thing was going to come out. It looked pretty solid still, but as I can see now, it's very brittle. That's the reason it started leaking. Get in here, try to get as much of this out as I can, so I can measure what the OD of that needs to be. So I get one of these scribes in there to kind of just pluck it. Well, it's kind of doing the same thing as the screwdriver was doing. I got into something in here is kind of tight. It's not all disintegrating, so there's a little bit of something left good in this seal. There you got it now. Now it's just breaking up. Just breaking up in pieces. And I got that one little piece just shimmying around. I have to get 2 scribes, one on each end of it. If I can find where it went to. There it is. And on that end and that end. And then keep slipping past. Just gonna try to pick at it, get it in the middle and break it again. To this piece and break it, get it to fall out. I think everything is falling out, except some little minor pieces are still up in there. Oh no, there's a piece still there. No, I don't see any more. It's going to need to be, all this needs to be cleaned out. Just going to get started with measuring these seals for the steering cylinder. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at A, which is the rod wiper, and I want to measure what the OD of that is first. Okay. That's it. 1 7/8 of an inch OD. That's 1.875 OD. And then the rod itself, I believe, is going to be 1.5 inches. So the ID is going to be 1.5 inches. And then the glasses on, and then the thickness or the height is going to be 3/16 of an inch. That's 0.187. We'll say it's wide. Okay, now the U-cup seal, that gave me problems on the other 3 cylinders I did on this machine. They're raw metric. I want to do this in English, but I'm probably going to convert it over to metric because I probably won't find a seal that is 2 inches in OD. And we know the rod is 1.5 inches, so that'd be the ID. And the height of that seal is, let's say it's about, it's just a little over 3/8. So I'm gonna say 3/8 because I think it's gonna come out to be something like 10 millimeters or 12 millimeters. So I'll say 3.75 high. And then the next thing was the square wire gland retainer. I'm not going to worry about that. O-ring D is, that is this, yeah, it's this O-ring right here. And this had a backup that I scraped off. It was pretty well disintegrated, so I'd already scraped that off, and I just put the O-ring back on. This O-ring, the diameter of this one is going to be, it's going to be 1/8 of an inch diameter, and or the diameter of the stock, and then the ID is something like this, be easier. The ID is going to be 2 3/4, and the OD is going to be the diameter of the tube. So I'm thinking that's 3 inches. So this O-ring is going to be 3 inches OD by 2.75 inches ID by a diameter of 0.125. I'll just look up the dash number for that, and that'll be the same same dash number for the backup ring will be the same. Then E is this ring here. It's on the rod. I need to scribe to get that out. We'll get started. And we'll measure the, that always happens, gets stuck in that, in the threads. Don't get it down the, let's measure this. We'll measure this diameter first. That looks like it's going to be 16th. Yeah, it's a 16th inch diameter. The OD of that O-ring is going to be 1 1/4. So it's going to be, this area is going to be 1.25 inch OD by, we'll take a 1/8 inch off speed, 1.125 ID, and then the diameter is going to be 0.062. And then the last, let's see, F, that's this piece here. I'm not going to replace that ring or seal. So I want to try to convert all these over to dash numbers, and then that U-cup seal is probably going to be metric, so I'll convert the English values over to metric, and then I'll get everything in order. It should be here in a couple of days, and we're ready to put this cylinder back together. Figured while I'm here, might as well get this cleaned up, because there's some residue inside this that I want to get out. So I decided to use a Dremel tool and a wire wheel just to clean up some of this areas, because I want this to seal real good. I don't want to have any leftover anything down in there. So I figured the wire brush would do a good job getting any of that leftover crud, whatever. So I'm just going to go and polish these areas with the Dremel tool. Give it a good polishing with the wire wheel. Coming nice and clean. So I just continue doing this until I see that it's nice and polished up, so the seals will have a good place to seal against. And then I'll clean all this residue with some solvent cleaner. I received all the seals that I ordered. Everything's here to rebuild this small cylinder. It doesn't need that many parts. Got most of the stuff from O-rings and more, and then I had to get the backup O-ring from Clearwater Hydraulics. I'll put the links in the description so you'll know where I bought this stuff. I found that O-rings and more has the metric U-cup seals, real easy to find. So I bought the last ones from them for the other 3 cylinders I just recently did, and it worked out well. So I just ordered most of the other stuff from them to save shipping cost. But I didn't find a backup ring from them, so I ended up getting that from Clearwater Hydraulics, and I bought another fitting from there anyway, so that saved on shipping costs. So I'm gonna get started putting this thing together. Okay, the first seal I want to put in, I think I'm gonna put this lip seal in. This is always the hardest thing for me. Even with the tool, it's a little bit hard. I can't imagine. I've done it without the tool at all, and I don't think I got the right, using PolySi O-ring grease, and I think I picked up a tube that was just about empty, but I'll put some O-ring grease on all these seals. I'm getting it out. On this backup ring and the smallest ring. Put it down in this groove since I got a lot on my finger. Oh, stuff's real sticky and very slippery. So, but it does a great job. I've never had an issue with this. I gotta find a towel to wipe my hands off. Okay, so let's get the U-cup seal in first. We want it, since we're going this direction, we want the opening or the U part to be down. So we'll just set it on top of theirs. Hopefully this goes right in easy, which it looks like it wants to. It's going right in. That's that don't always happen that easy, but that seal is in. Then we'll put the rod wiper in since we're right here. That should go in real easy. usually. There, it went right in. Let's see, let's put the backup ring on first. Make sure it didn't twist on me, which it felt like it. I'd get an iron stick and push that back against that back wall of the groove. No, it didn't twist. And put this other O-ring that goes in front of it. Put that on, and that is all done. The gland is all back together, ready to be assembled. We have this last O-ring that goes on the end of the rod. So I'll take my iron stick and help work this down. You get that thread that always wants to go in that thread and get hung up. The next step is to put the clamp back onto the rod. So you got to put it the right direction. It goes like that. Should slide on fairly easy like it did. And then we'll put the piston, and I believe it probably was, I think it's symmetrical, so it doesn't really matter, but I'll put it this direction. And it's kind of a little fidgety. Press it down on there, get it past that O-ring, and then install the nut, and then we'll take it over to the vise and we'll torque this down to the position where it was originally. I got the rod and everything ready to be torqued down, the nut to the piston. I put a black Sharpie. The dimple was here, but I put a black Sharpie on there so I could see that dimple as I'm coming around a lot easier to match up with the dimple that's on the end of the rod. That'll indicate where I need to stop. I'm just going to ratchet this in until it gets fairly tight. Then I'll slip over and change into using a breaker bar. Do the final torque. Still got ways to go. This is a self-locking nut, so it's starting to get tight. Okay, it's getting kind of tight. Wow, it's right there. That's kind of, in my opinion, that's kind of odd that I was able to torque that down to what it originally was with just a ratchet. So I'm thinking I want to put I want to put a little bit more torque on it than the original. Just a slight amount, because that just doesn't seem to me to be enough. So the dimple's there and the torque is there probably, oh wow, it's probably 2 degrees, maybe more of extra torque. So I feel that's a little better. So let me take this out. I'm gonna put replace it with the cylinder. Put the cylinder in here, cylinder body. Drop this down just a little bit. Tighten that down pretty good. I can loosen these up, or I should take those caps off. Yeah, I'm ready to put this assembly back into the main rod. Into the cylinder housing. So put a little bit of lubricant around that area that we want to seal it. To make it go in a little easier. I'm going to put a little bit on this piston too. Let's put a little bit on there. So it'll go in easier. And slowly work this piston in first. Okay, the piston's in now. Now I want to line up this hole for the wire retainer. So try to keep that as straight as possible. Need a mallet. Help get that in. Okay, that's in. Wipe some of this grease off. And put the wire retainer where it needs to go. And I'm going to need to get my spanner wrench, my homemade spanner wrench. On the opposite side should be a spanner hole down here. Should be right there. Start spinning that in. And I'm thinking about putting a little bit of, put just a little bit of anti-seize on this. Let me get that real quick. I don't know if it's really needed, but I don't think it's going to hurt to have a little bit of anti-seize on that as it's going in. And if you need to take it out again, it'll come out easy. This came out fairly easy, even so. When I took it apart. Let's do this again. Find that spanner hole. And then we'll just walk it right on in. It's kind of easy. Like I said this earlier, I said this was the first time I ever did a cylinder that has a retainer wire going around it, so this is new to me. It's 180 out, so here's one hole. The other one should be right there. Just keep going until it's all the way in there. Okay, it's in there. Get the excess anti-seed off there. Now this cylinder is ready to be put back into the main lift as a steering cylinder. So wasn't able to get any video of putting the cylinder in. It was just too tight in there, and I could barely get my hands in there. I got all greasy, nasty, but I got it all cleaned up now. All I gotta do now is put the covers back on. I didn't see any leaks of the cylinder, any of the hoses. So this thing's ready to go, back to service. We have new hoses on it, rebuilt cylinders. So there's not much left to do to it. So I think it's ready to go do some work. Thanks for watching my channel. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments, send me comments. If you like my videos, subscribe to my channel.